Hello and thank you for joining us on the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, at last, federal government lifts suspension on Twitter operations in Nigeria after 7 months. Gunmen behead, shoots to death 10 children, 27 others in Niger State, as Governor Matawalle tells federal government that bandits are being released without trial. And later on the show, NLC officials say trains in Nigeria have no extinguishers as staff battle fire with leaves in viral video. I'll be hanging out with Adekule Yusuf and Cyril Abako. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. The scuffle between the federal government and Twitter over the tweet by President Muhammad Buhari culminated in the suspension of operations of the microblogging sites in Nigeria on the 5th of June 2021. 7 months after, the federal government has lifted the suspension following approval by President Buhari. According to the chairman of the Technical Committee on Nigeria Twitter Engagement and Director General of the National Information Development Agency, Kashifu Abdullahi, lifting of the suspension takes effect from midnight 13th of January. Cyril Abako, Amnesty International described this as a violation of human rights of Nigerians. It's that in spite of the fact that they are still maintaining it, and the federal government is saying that, look, it's an attempt to actually to sanitize the relationship. Yes, because as a point in time, the federal government accused Twitter of allowing that medium to be used in subverting the security of Nigeria, so to say.
The difference, what the federal government didn't do right, is very clear for everyone to see. When the president tweeted that very bad tweet, tweeted in bad faith, somebody reported it.
No, they will be dealt in the language they understand.
No, yeah, no, of course. I mean, talking about the civil war and so on. Nobody in the federal government sat down to say, how do we deal with this? There are community rules on Twitter. Sorry, Ayo, just let me come by my own self, you know. Okay. When IPOB, because what the Minister of Information said was that IPOB had said was on Twitter and that nobody did anything. How does the federal government not understand that there are community rules and that if you report a tweet to Twitter, they will take action? That was what happened when the president tweeted that. Twitter could have also looked away. Somebody made the report and said, this tweet is something that has been sent out in bad faith, and Twitter acted. That's what happened. The narrative we are seeing today is to assume that Twitter broke some Nigerian laws and that they were taken to court and that they've been made to account for what they did wrong. That's not what happened. What happened is something that we wish didn't happen in the first place. Is what we can be proud to teach our children, that there was presidential malefaction, that our president took to Twitter to threaten a section of this country, and that on account of that, Twitter acted by deleting the tweet in public interest. That's what happened. What has changed to today is, if Nigeria does not know, people didn't leave Twitter. Go and check. They were using what did they call it? VPN. People didn't leave Twitter. What happened was that there was revenue loss, there were job losses accompanied by the pandemic and other things, and that the federal government now has to be taking taxes from Twitter. That is what has fundamentally changed. For me, it comes like a propaganda coup, which worked very well, because the narrative now is about the gains. Let me tell you something, Ayo. Until the ban happened, people who have digital marketing jobs were making money off Twitter, right? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. We have said it that the wealth of the nations, as envisaged by all the economic philosophers, is that there is more money in the pockets of the people, not in the covers of government. So our attempt to take practice now is to say that, why are people just making money off this platform? Government now also wants to have a share. And in a case where you have both the yam and the knife, what do you expect us to do? Government has just done its own thing by itself.
I like to deviate from what's the point of view of Cyril a little bit. Yesterday, when I read the gains of this face-off, that yes, the gains at the end of the day might have outweighed the disadvantage. Like they set up a committee and they were able to make sure that Twitter regularizes their this thing here, register a company here, they are going to be paying tax, several other advantages at the end of the day, that revenue generation from Twitter at the end of the day, that there's going to be smooth and coordinated relationship between Nigerian government and Twitter, reduction of cyber criminal activities. And when the federal government was pushing this out, Twitter did not come out to contradict what we have on ground. And this, I would say, it's a win for the federal government, gains on Twitter ban.
Well, I don't know what we have gained. I believe we lost a lot.
So this, what's the
actions of the federal government truly embarrassed Nigeria. Just take it that way. You are trying to just save face. You can say whatever. You expect Twitter to be arguing with a sovereign nation like Nigeria. It's just a small company that is making money and advancing the cause of freedom of speech and all that worldwide. So this issue about the Twitter didn't contradict, I don't see it as anything. Let me tell you, this matter could have been better handled. If you see any little thing that Twitter did that you didn't like, you can handle it in a better way. Everything was done in a way that embarrassed Nigeria. Number one, it portrays us as a nation where there is no respect for freedom of speech. Two, it portrayed the administration as a government that is intolerant of So, whether they like it or not, these were the things that happened. Look at what happened. Twitter, even in the United States, the almighty United States, the president there, then President Trump, when Twitter found out that did it, what happened? Apart from warning, they deleted his account. You get my point? Heavens didn't fall. Now you just remove the post, and some people want to have malaria over that. So you see what has happened could have been better handled. Oh, they will pay tax, they will pay this, they will open up this, they will comply with our laws. Believe me, all through the period, how many people complied with the so-called suspension? Nigerians were still, And when you are talking about Twitter is not the most popular social media in Nigeria. So if you think it will reduce
are you discounting these gains that you can read on paper?
You can say whatever gains of what in the country that we lost billions.
How can you say they are empty? Look at Twitter has agreed to enroll Nigeria in its partner support and law enforcement portal, and has agreed with respectful and acknowledgement of Nigerian laws, culture, and history.
It is called rhetoric. It is called rhetoric. Let me ask you, Ayo, in Nigeria, what command
illegal entity in Nigeria during the first quarter of 2022, Twitter will come and register here and agree to appoint a designated
contact. Was Twitter doing business in Nigeria? Nigerians, Twitter just has a space for Nigerians to communicate. Nigerians are the ones communicating among themselves. What are you talking?
As simple as that.
So, and there are rules of engagement. If you go up
they're not getting from us, they wouldn't have gone to the negotiating board to negotiate with us and abide with all.
How many Twitter officials came to Nigeria to negotiate?
Ongoing economic training opportunities as the company continues to consider expanding its presence in Nigeria. What does that mean?
See, how many Twitter officials came to Nigeria to beg and negotiate? Who are the ones traveling? Please, in this season of propaganda, we need to wake up. Things are not right, and we need to speak up.
Ayo,
Twitter is not the biggest of our problems. There are so many things we need to do. When we are not the only country. Of course, there may be infractions here and there about Twitter. You can handle these things even without, making a lot of noise. You can do it behind the scene. You get my point? But the whole government of Nigeria is not a small country. Nigeria is a big country.
We have our first caller. Saliu is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Saliu.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Saliu.
God bless all the journalists Hangout team. I appreciate your work, Babajide and everybody. Thank you very much. My point is that I support the federal government for banning them. At least they achieved something. You can see what is lying out. Even the president, when Mr. Yusuf was saying that they brought down the Twitter in US, the former then president happened in Norfolk. He regretted not bringing them down while he has the power to bring them down. Bringing them down is not bringing them down to kill our business or to kill, to deny people human rights. You cannot have a double standard. You cannot look at the country and say you don't know who is tweeting. You don't know from where he's tweeting. What we are saying is that respect our law, respect what will not bring chaos. We are managing situations. Don't bring problem to us. We have problem already that we are managing. The NSAS issue, if they did not magnify it beyond the way it is, there are things that can be best managed. I agree with you, but in the best of the interest of the state, you don't have headquarters in Nigeria. You have it in Ghana. They call it Nigeria Twitter in Ghana. They don't pay tax in Nigeria. You don't employ anybody in Nigeria. And you want us to still abide by what you want. Our president is, even if I am the president, I'll bring them down until they have that office in Nigeria. They do all what is the best interest of the Nigeria.
Thank you for your contribution. You will discover that, look, a lot of Nigerians, even the House of Representatives, the National Assembly, they backed the federal government up on this. Nigerians are saying no, that you can't come and ride roughshod over us just because people will use your medium to incite people against the people of Nigeria. And look, a lot of people are saying that kudos to the federal government on this, that look, they might not agree with this government entirely, but on this Twitter ban, that they agree with the federal government of Nigeria.
I am a trained student of journalism. I understand the impact of putting power in the hands of people who are not trained to understand its implications. So if it's only about people who are, sometimes somebody can put something false on social media. It could be Facebook, it could be anywhere. And then there was a particular national deal in Nigeria where they sacked everybody and said, how come our rival has this story and we don't have it? And it turned out that the rival was publishing something that was not even true. So we understand that one. But the Twitter story it goes beyond. Read the federal government statement. What they have done right now is to say that they have made Twitter an appendage of either the Ministry of Digital Communication or Ministry of Information and Culture. Twitter cannot shake, cannot breathe, cannot stand, cannot sit except the federal government tells it to do so. Read the statement. Read it again.
What do you think Twitter would not agree to that kind of thing?
No. What?
What do you think Twitter would not agree?
You've already agreed with you now. Do they have a choice? They don't have a choice. They don't have a choice. There's nothing they can do about it.
And what does Twitter benefit from standing in antagonism with a sovereign state like Nigeria?
Exactly.
Must you say everything?
Exactly.
You get my point? This is a country that was losing over 100 million every hour because of Twitter suspension. And how many months are we talking about? You need to count it. You are saying you are gaining because of tax. Which tax? How many Nigerian companies are even paying tax we are talking about? Please, there's a lot we need to do. We can do things and portray our country the way we want. This one, have you taken time to...
Sometimes it's even good for us to just stand behind the federal government for patriotism's sake.
That's for propaganda's sake. I wouldn't stand with propaganda. Say, you will see what happened. Did you follow the people's reaction, the public reaction on news about this matter? No, did you see? Do you know that many people are now complaining that just within less than 24 hours, if you're on Twitter, you now you see many new accounts without one single follower, following people, especially people who are active users, popular, names of people are now complaining. And in communications, they call it COP or whatever, that is a propaganda too.
Let me even tell you something.
Okay, I have a caller. Yeah. Ibrahim is calling us from Kaduna State.
Hello, good evening, good evening, sir. Good evening to all your two guys.
Good evening, Ibrahim.
Yes, Ibrahim from Kaduna. Yes.
All right.
This is my first time for contributing in this new year.
You're welcome, Ibrahim.
2022 will be a good year for every one of us in Nigeria and the world at large.
Amen.
Now, the issue of Twitter listing, this is a very good moment for all Twitter followers, including myself. But one thing that is sure that we need to commend this government is this: they are coming out boldly, and they are have the support both of the executive, legislative, and the judiciary and all Nigerians. This is the direction to go, because anybody, no anything, any other external body will come to our country and just come and mess up here because this is the platform. Now, I stand by the government of the day for you to do it firmly, to make sure that these people come to the Daniel, and they have come to that. Now, other sister agencies like Twitter also should also learn for what just happened to them. Why would they? That does not stop what Twitter has been doing or any other illegal or false information given out to the public. But this is a way for us to go. I really applaud the government. Now, we are my advice to all Nigerians use Twitter now is this: please, let us use Twitter judiciously. Let us use it wisely and do what is right to set our country, not break our country down.
Thank you.
Enough is enough for
Thank you, Brian.
sensitivity, and may God deliver us. Thank you very much for giving me the platform to share my voice. Bye.
This is my second caller now. You can feel the pulse of Nigerians.
Sorry.
You can feel the pulse. They're calling.
See, Ayo, if I was casting a headline, I wouldn't call it gains. Those are terms. And not all terms are fair to all parties. It's not gains. Those are just terms by which business should not be resuming. They are not gains. Let me read this to you. Twitter has agreed to enroll Nigeria in its partner support and law enforcement portals. The partner support portal provides a direct channel for government officials and Twitter staff to manage prohibited content that violates Twitter community rules, not Nigerian laws. Because ostensibly, the way those laws will apply to Nigeria will now differ significantly. It means that, I mean, except I'm not reading it well. It means that Nigerian government officials and Twitter can now sit down and say this tweet violates the law of respectability in the Southwest. Please delete it. That tweet by Lagbaja violates the. So it means that government now has the right to enter in and determine what is right from what is wrong. Meanwhile, the republic is built on the fundamental ethos of the people's right to express their views in the best way they know to do. There are ways of addressing people who are going out of line. And in this case, Twitter already had all the laws that could have addressed malefaction. For example, you tweet a wrong tweet, you are reported. I do not for one suppose that Twitter's whole body of laws and terms and conditions does not include cultural sensitivity. If you will tell me that, I will say that you're not saying the truth. For me, like I said, it's not win-win. No. What does that mean? That this big tech has been successfully cowed and has covered, and going forward, the government decides what you tweet.
I don't know, at the point in time, I stopped even going on, on that site, because I discovered that the way Nigerians come, the sentiment, the half information, the propaganda, and everything, and it's enough for to cause a kind of civil unrest before that NSAS protest. And now the federal government has said, look, we are going to sanitize your operations, and we're going to make sure that this platform is not used as hijacked as a tool to cause unrest within the country again. I think for me that is something that, yes, is a win for the country.
It's a win for the country, but take it that it's not only ordinary folks that can abuse freedom of speech. In this case, it was the president himself that was accused of writing something some people found to be offensive. Why are people not talking about that? So it can happen through any. You get my point? From the government, it can happen. From ordinary folks, it can happen. But this one, they were happy to tell us what happened during airport, what happened during NSAS. But this one, it was the president of Nigeria. So when you are saying it's a win-win thing, if we all agree to rules of decency, of course there won't be all this. You get my point?
Of course.
See, worldwide, if you look at issues around social media, not just Twitter, to reform or not to reform, to ban or not to ban. There are several models, several theories, several approaches, you know, for some of the governments that have done it. What I've seen so far, we are only talking about Twitter. In Nigeria, social media, Twitter is not the biggest. We have WhatsApp. That's the biggest in our country. And why are people so obsessed about Twitter? People are doing a lot through social media, like WhatsApp, Yahoo Messenger, Facebook. More Nigerians use this than even Twitter.
Exactly.
You get my point?
Exactly.
So I don't know why the obsession.
Do you think
and we must take it that the government and the people, anybody can, you know, make.
Okay, let me take Bayo. Bayo is calling us from Ilorin, that's Kwara State.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Yes,
Good afternoon.
Bayo, go ahead with your contribution.
Thank you so much. My contribution is this. No matter what you do, Twitter is not losing any money. Government of Nigeria is trying to gain a lot of brand. Remember, everything when it comes to politicians is politics. We're just doing a soccer to it. Everything is going to be used no matter what you do. They're going to give you guys a topic to talk about. I appreciate you. You guys are doing a lot of work. And Mr. Ayo, you talk a lot about patriotism. Go up to the top level. How many times the president talk? How many flags does he have behind him? How many times we hear the president himself, like you always say, God bless Nigeria? What about our troops? The people getting killed every day. May God bless our troops. Nobody, I never hear it. No governor. Only when they realize they captured this, they captured that, they know, oh, the military are doing the military that. Every day it should have been said. That's patriotism. Encourage your troops. Love them a lot. We're talking about stupid Twitter. Believe you me, no matter what they lose in Nigeria, the U.S. government is giving them money anyway, giving tax. They're not losing anything.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you. So, Kosino, do you think the freedom of information, freedom of the press, you know, freedom of association is being impugned by this government in any way?
Oh, Ayo, a whole lot. Have you forgotten that Punch decided to start calling Mr. President a Major General, and they have not stopped doing so because of
his administration. They tagged it as a regime.
Yes, because of his. And many people don't know. I was in SS1 government when they taught us that there's a difference between a regime and an administration. There are two different things. His own is a regime, and it is bad. What must happen? Like I told you, I'm a student of journalism. The debate on press freedom and whatever it is will not end. But that we will not look for an internal way of dealing with our own issues. What we want to do is to pick up the sledgehammer against an ant. Is unbecoming of
people criticize government every day. All the mediums, news outlets, and everything, and we've not have you know, government cannot stop people from expressing their views.
No, let me. So I think at this point we have to say that this government has found a way of developing some kind of thick skin that makes it get away with things without consequence. That is why it has remained this way. That is why it has remained this way. It may take Nigeria some time to come out of this lethargy, or what somebody called psychosis, sort of getting, you know, Fela said suffering and smiling. This sort of, you know, we just keep, as far as the next meal comes, as far as the next day breaks, we just keep but I believe that if things will be gotten right with time, Twitter was even on that path in the manner of speaking. People were becoming a lot more conscious of things that were happening. Something happened in Enugu, before you know, people in Lagos are aware of it. That is the power of media. So how can we become a people that are more media conscious, more willing to consume information, but also have the ability to be responsible? I do not think that this part will make us responsible. This part will make us cow before government. So what we need to fight for, or what we need to work towards, is how can we become responsible users of social media and not intimidated users of social media.
The last final submission on this?
Well, I just want Nigerians to know that whatever the government says, whatever Twitter says, we should be responsible in the way we use social media. Many of the things that we do, maybe by our laws or by our customs, you know, we believe are indecent, they are illegal, they are whatever. If you go on social media and do the same thing, they are also illegal, they are also immoral. So we just try to work, you know. We don't have another country. This is the only country we have, and we should try and make it work.
All right, we'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still your favorite news and current affairs program, Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this time out. Stay with us. It's your favorite news and current affairs program reaching you live from TVC News from our headquarters here in Lagos, and I have Cyril Abaku and Adekunle Yusuf in the studio. It's a brand new year, but no new leaves of life yet for people in some states in northern Nigeria regarding insecurity. On Tuesday, government stormed Nakuna and Wurukuchi communities and killed 37 people. 10 children belonging to a family were killed right on their farm, while 20 bodies were discovered in the bush. Meanwhile, Governor Bello Matawalle of Zamfara State has attributed persistence in banditry in the state to lack of punishment for arrested bandits. Governor Matawalle told the federal government delegation on a sympathy visit to the state that arrested bandits are being released without trial. I found it so hard to believe when I read this. People that you tagged terrorists and you arrest them and you release them. How possible is that? And they go back and regroup.
It sounds very notoriously and shamefully Nigerian. That thing you're saying sounds very, very notoriously, shamefully, and typically...
Arrest the bandits?
Yes, and typically Nigerian. I mean, waking up from a dream, I won't be surprised to hear. If they say it happened in Nigeria, I won't be surprised. This is not even... I'm sorry, but I mean, without being insensitive to the people who have died and those who have lost loved ones, the angle we are taking it from is nothing new. It is sad that this is happening. And for what it is worth, I just want to suggest that perhaps when we're out of this era or maybe this epoch, we need to open criminal investigations into people that might have been criminally negligent, people that might have derelict their duty, people that turned a blind eye, people that turned a blind eye and outright and partook in outright collusion with the enemy of this country to sabotage and subvert national security. Because national security is not just what the president says in his speech or what some people do when they're in power. It is about understanding that when it comes to security, in fact, philosophers of statehood will tell you that security comes before freedom, which is to say that until we are secure, we can't even talk about freedom of food. So, if in the fundamental layer or the very foreground on which the nation should stand, we are faltering this despicably and appallingly, then it means that the very minders of state policy, we need to ask some very, very probing questions. In Sokoto was where how many people died in Sokoto the other day? Was it 200 or something? Am I getting my facts right?
No, I think in Zamfara.
You see now we are beginning to compare whether it was Sokoto or Zamfara. This one that happened in Niger State. Oh. What we had, the report said that villagers or vigilantes in the vigilance group had gone to launch an assault on these attackers. And that I think some days or a week later or 2 weeks later or something like that, those people now came on a reprisal attack. I commend those villagers who went to launch an attack or who went to carry that onslaught on the bandits or on the attackers, whoever they were in their location. But how is it that in a place where we have supposedly locked down telecoms operations just to say that we're boosting our capacity to pin down these terrorists, how is it now that there was going to be a reprisal attack, nobody perhaps saw it coming, and the attack was so bad? In one village alone, they burned down all the 200 buildings belonging to the villagers. So it's a case of the less you want to look, the more you're even seeing.
Is it because what it takes to prosecute these bandits that might be the constraints? Because I don't know if they're taken to the police station and they've established the fact that, look, these guys are terrorists, I feel they should be charged to court and they should be taken to jail straight.
You know, I've said something that I want to repeat. I think there is an elite conspiracy somewhere. Our security agencies, military and others are not this bad. I can say it again and again. But when you see, I think there are some powerful interests that are making things to get worse. If there is not some people complicit in this or that, why will? So when some people are saying, let's change the service chiefs, I say, okay, if we change the service chiefs, will the service chiefs control themselves? Now we did. Then bandits, call them terrorists. I say, how will that change the story? Because even before this same government, we started hearing about repentant terrorists, repentant Boko Haram, repentant this, that some people are being released. Now, what we are discussing here didn't come from the opposition. You can't tell me somebody is politicizing anything. It came from a governor, from the ruling party. To me, the governor must have had enough intelligence before he started speaking. How come you arrested? How many of the bandits were you able to arrest? You only arrest few. The few you are able to arrest, do you take them to court? Have you seen anyone that is, convicted? So how can we now say we are fighting insurgency, we are fighting bandits? It shows the kind of commitment we have as a country. That are we really interested in ending this circle of bloodletting, endless killings, wasteful, endless waste of human lives? There's one story, there's one case in this one 75-year-old man, in his presence, they killed his 4 children. The first one was beheaded, then they gathered the remaining, and they were being shot at close range. When they killed them, the father, they tied the father's hand. So in his presence, they killed all his 4 children. There were others who came to join them. What were they doing? These were not criminals. They were on their farm harvesting yam. You understand me? Then after killing all his children, they untied the 75-year-old man. They now told him that now you can go.
To go into what?
What manner of society is that? A country with a government? Believe me, I can't just gather myself.
Well, let's go to Governor Zulum. The president has said it repeatedly that these terrorists are not holding on to territories. The Minister of Information, Mohammed, has said it, several times, that it's just, that they're not holding on territories. But the governor of the state is saying that Abadan and one other, I've forgotten the second local government, that 2 local governments, they're still firmly, under the control of Boko Haram. And the governor went ahead, was talking about that they even got an intelligence of 300 motorcycles, that those people, they were having meetings. That yes, for 300 motorcycles to converge, and they were having meetings and everything. You can find how the kind of boldness. So for Governor Zulum to say this, who do we believe?
Who do we believe?
Just now. The commander-in-chief is telling us that look,
in a country where you arrest perpetrators of crime and terrorism and they are released, then you have those who come out and say they are repenting and you want to embrace them. I think it only goes to
20,000.
Yeah, so that just tells us what your priority really appears to be. And I wouldn't take it from anybody coming to say later that they could have done better if not for 1 or 2. I think now they have the chance to do their best. having said that, Governor Zulum, has been very outspoken, has been very forthright, has been very forthcoming in his in his denunciation of terrorism and in making sure that his state is free. You remember, even when he himself came under attack several times. I'm not talking about verbal attack. When he was fired at, on several occasions. It just tells you that the actual ground zero of this whole thing we call terrorism may not be where we are even looking. It's not even about the guys in the bush. It is like Yusuf has said, there should be some kind of grand elite conspiracy. And in my own opinion, the framers and crafters of state policy have questions to answer. There is no way this kind of thing will continue unabated without the support of those who should be putting an end to it. I personally don't agree. It means I believe that something is not being done enough.
But as at yesterday, Governor Zulu, and as far as I'm concerned, the only passionate political leader I've seen in recent time, who governs, who leads with passion.
From the front.
Yes, with passion. Not just those who lost comfort and the, as at yesterday, addressing, Senate Committee on Army, said Abadam and Guazamala, two groups, are still firmly under the control of Boko Haram.
I'm sure that might not go down well with.
No, please go and read it. It's published, by Daily Trust just about 1 hour ago, and he cried out that terrorists are overrunning the man and his counterpart in Zamfara. Said terrorists are overrunning their states.
Matawalle is not
you
having
think they will be lying? They would love to
that
lie.
Is under siege.
They would love to do propaganda against
themselves and their party.
We need to be honest. So if anybody now says no, okay, what of Niger State? Officials of, and these are all APC states. So you cannot tell me that somebody is trying to play some, mischief with the security, of our country. So there's no doubt about that. There's nothing like that.
So ultimately, last time on Sunday, Jide just visited the Northeast and he brought cheering news. The military guys, they're getting their equipment now, and the morale is quite high. And he's saying that, look, they stemmed the tide of this incessant attack. Now, I think where the worry is the number of people being conscripted and going into banditry. It's like, it's the in thing in the Northwest.
Which is why we have said that, the English people say stitch in time
Saves 9.
Saves 9. There was a time I think the Qatari government, or is it Dubai, gave the president a list of people that they believe they had evidence.
400 names.
400 names. That's not something to joke with. But as you and I are sitting here, I am not aware that anything has come out of that list that is in our possession. That kind of attitude does not help the war on terror. Then our own internal investigations. How is it that it is the governors who are coming to Abuja to come and tell the Senate and Nigerians? How is it that the commanders of Lafia, Dole, and all the operations in the Northeast are not even, is it that they are not aware that Boko Haram is still controlling territories? It didn't come from them. It is this same attitude that makes the communities unable to repel these attackers. I was saying that in Niger, in those places that we're talking about in Niger State, the community people had gone to, deal a blow to the bandits before they came back on reprisal and did everything that they did. We're saying that they are not being supported. If you keep giving that attitude, everything is okay, people go to sleep. And I'm a bit worried that we should, so that we can question this. How does the president say that no local government is under Boko Haram control, and the governors come and say, Ayo, the local government is under Boko Haram control? So one of them is lying. Ayo, one of them is lying. And that lie will help the terrorists. It does not help the communities and the villages.
All right. And finally, the age-long motto of Boy Scouts teaches us the best way to prevent disasters. Be prepared. But it appears we don't live by this maxim as a country. A viral video emerged on social media in which some staff of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, NLC, are battling a raging fire on a coach with shrubs and leaves. According to an official of the corporation, who explained that they battled the fire on the coach by applying the Warri Itakwe roots with bare hands and leaves, said most of the trains have no fire extinguishers on them. Let's share the story with you.
Yes. Thank you. Suffer. That rubber will burn finish. Nothing go good for that kilo. The rubber will burn finish. Suffering. Leave am, it must burn. The thing no go green stop.
So heart-rending because we just acquired most of these coaches, and expensive, and Nigerians, they are happy.
We borrowed heavily.
That's the Chinese going up in flames.
Yeah.
We borrowed heavily.
What would be the big deal of getting a fire extinguisher? If your personal car, you can afford to get a fire extinguisher. So what is the big deal about getting a fire extinguisher? Why are we like this?
I think something's wrong with us. And we need to acknowledge, maybe we'll be able to solve the problem. Something is definitely wrong with us. Look at
multi-million-dollar
no quality assurance.
And we'll be in debt. Oh my God. Oh, something is wrong with us. Just let's act.
Staff of Nigeria Railways.
Something is wrong with Nigeria and those who run Nigeria. We have a problem. Because I've not seen any country that is run like Nigeria. These are not coaches in the Mongo Park era. These are new, at least by our standard.
Are you sure, sir?
By our, let me say, by our
people have been it very
by our standard. Then
very conducive.
Why would you
go from Lagos to Abeokuta or Lagos from Ibadan? People that have taken it very conducive.
But you saw what happened. Nobody invented.
Okay, let's just take this break to cool our tempers.
That is wrong with us.
God forbid.
Don't miss this next edition of Journalist Hangout on Sunday, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. where we have a special on how Babajide Otitoju is escapade in the northeastern part of the country with the Nigerian military. So before we went on that break, and we're saying that, okay, the Nigerian Railway Corporation would have been generous enough, at least, or cautious enough to make provisions for this. But I don't think if Engineer Fidelis Okiria is watching us now, or somebody should at least tell him that this should be a minimum standard for these coaches.
It is called quality assurance. You don't put a bus on the road, a car on the road, anything like that without fire extinguisher. It's a basic. Somebody, when I was watching the video, somebody said, this can be Nigeria. So I took my earpiece and said, put it in your ear. When he had suffering, he said, oh, it's Nigeria. I'm not surprised. Ayo, that's your Chinese loan going up in flames. And I beg to think that those are very inferior things. All these things are buying, they're inferior. They're inferior because we are borrowing heavily. And if this is what we are borrowing for, then there is this. Look, if we were saying these things, somebody may say, you're not an expert in this field, but it is clear. It is now very clear to us. Look at. This didn't happen, Ayo. It didn't happen. Now, you're even talking about what they should have been telling. Do you know that in the wake of this thing happening, did you see their strategy for managing a crisis? They said we're investigating. Nobody has even said that we apologize for this shameful outing and so on and so forth. Nobody has apologized. They're just that they're investigating what happened. This should be very simple. Are the receipts not there? Did somebody go to bargain and say, okay?
And I don't think the regular fire extinguisher will even quell this kind of fire. No. There should be specialized
something for it.
For this, they are usually what is provided. I see something is not just.
Then the person that was overheard in the video was saying, "Wait, don't do anything about the fire. It will go out by itself."
I said something wrong with us.
Now I've seen videos of these coaches from Kaduna to Abuja to just stop abruptly on the road, and they just show passengers complaining that we're stuck in the middle of nowhere now. We don't know they've called the head office. They want another coach to come and evacuate people, but it's becoming like something that they're meant to be new.
I said something. Something is wrong with us as a country. We need to just search our souls. We are born heavily to do this. Is this what we are born to do? Put your car on the road. FRSC will arrest you if you don't have a fire extinguisher. It's one of the items
first. Harass you, then arrest you.
You get my point? That is your own possession, your car. Perhaps only you inside. Now, this is a commercial, public, and there are no provisions. Disasters don't want anybody before they strike. And
this might not be the first time.
Of course. If there is no social media, how do we get to see this? You get my point? Probably we won't get to know. But see,
and then they will deny flat.
And
deny flat and say it is either fake news or people who are just trying to embarrass the government. But this is it. It is here.
Momo is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Momo.
Good evening.
Good evening,
sir.
Yeah. Ayo.
Just go ahead.
How are you? Good evening. Good evening to Siri and the other
Adekule
there.
A very good evening.
Mr. Adekule. Ayo, it happened that I've lived in China for 24 years, 25 years.
Wow.
That is where I've lived. And I've seen it things like this. It's very shameful and disgraceful to a country called Nigeria. One, let me tell you, who are the people that went negotiating for those trains? Let's find out first. Who are the engineers that approved the buying of those trains? Let's find out first. You see, when you see things like this happening, we just talk about it. It ends on this same table where you are sitting. And it will end in my bedroom where I'm calling you from. That is the end of it. You see, until we take the appropriate actions on those who go for it, let me tell you, I'm here because maybe I'm not known on the public. Then people will come, like I said, I've lived here for 20 to 25 years. But the people that come there, they don't even know how to go about this transaction. You see somebody making call on the phone, and he will tell you, okay, send all those parts, send all those things. I give you an instance. Somebody actually called me for the brake pad of train, sometimes 2 years back now. And I did everything, gave them this thing, and they went behind and sought it from somewhere else because we gave them price for original. But they called me and said, no, the price you are giving, we don't want the original one. Can you reduce the price and let them reduce the quality? We don't do that.
We're out of time. I would have loved to get more information. We're out of time. So your last word on this?
This train incident should be treated as criminal matter.
Minister Amici,
so that there can be prosecution.
Just set up a panel and within the railway corporation and get to the root of this.
Or independent investigators.
I want the president to take this matter seriously. It should be beyond Mr. Amici, because heads that should roll include that of the president should take it seriously, because it's one of his legacy projects that he loves to talk about. Is this what he wants to bequeath to Is this what will be his legacy? He should take it serious.
It's quite shameful, it's quite unfortunate to say the least that if it's established that this actually happened in Nigeria, serious said
You had suffering. Oga suffering.
that's-
Ghana does not say suffering.
well,
Kenya does not say
the
suffering.
franchise of that suffering.
I told listen, he said suffering. Oh, it's Nigeria.
Oh, very shameful. Very shameful. Very shameful.
Thank you for your contribution. And Cyril Abako.